Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Masterpiece Movie Theater, where we'll be discussing just one of the greatest movies ever made. Period. The Princess Bride. You know what's cool? It doesn't matter if I hold it upside down, because there is no upside down looking at it. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Because Princess Bride either way. Boom, boom, boom. Awesome. The movie's so good, it had to have one of the best cases that there is. So The Princess Bride was released in 1987 and directed by Rob Reiner, of all people. And he just did such an amazing job with this film. I mean, where do we start? It opens with Fred Savage as the sick grandson in his bed, and his grandfather, Peter Falk, comes over to read him a story. At first he doesn't want to hear it. Then he gets into it. He starts going, and even for for an adventure movie, for any part where there's build up, there's suspense, it almost wastes no time. And because of the interaction with the reading with the grandfather and the grandson, where the setup with Wesley and Buttercup, it almost seems like it takes no time at all and builds their story, their love for each other in a very small amount of time if you actually pay attention to the time that they devoted to it in the film. And then of course Wesley has to leave, he's gone, news of his death comes. And in the meantime, Buttercup is supposed to now marry just one of the worst, he's awful. The Prince Humperdinck, I mean, played fantastically, right? Because you can't stand him, right? You can't. And he's played, first off, everyone acted in this movie perfectly, absolutely perfectly. But Humperdinck he's just let's be honest, okay? Let's say it. He is next level douche in this movie, okay? So she's kidnapped by just the best three people you could have cast for this, okay? And so the bandits take her, and they sail on the ship, and they're going towards the Cliffs of Insanity. As the ship that is trailing far behind them keeps getting closer, Inigo, the Spaniard, utters, in my opinion, one of the best lines in the movie. Now, The Princess Bride is insanely quotable. Pretty much anything Andre says throughout the entire movie. And obviously, Vizzini with the Inconceivable, and Wesley's As You Wish, and just all the things in this. But one of the best lines in the entire movie is said by Inigo, and it's not the one that everyone always says, about his, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die. Not that one. Alright? It's when he looks back and sees the ship is gaining, and he asks, I wonder if he's using the same wind we are using. It is so simple and so funny. And I don't know if people even notice how he says it, because his delivery on it is so perfect. So, they reach the Cliffs of Insanity, and Fezzik, played by Andre the Giant, hooks all three other people on him, and he's climbing up. Makes it to the top. They cut the rope, but the man in black who is chasing them grabs onto the rocks. So Vizzini orders Inigo to stay behind and kill him. But Inigo is, even though he's here being a bandit doing whatever he's doing for money, still has a sense of pride. So he helps the Man in Black reach the top so they can have a sword fight to the death. They sit there, they have a conversation, and almost build a respect, or actually do build a respect towards each other. They both start fencing with their left hand. And what ensues is probably the greatest fencing scene ever. Period. Bar none. Ever. Okay? Not only because of just how good they actually are with each other, but what happens in it, how they speak to each other, and then what they do. Like when Inigo says, I'm not right, or I'm not left-handed, he switches to his right, and then he starts doing a little bit better, and then Wesley, or the Man in Black says, I'm not right-handed either. He switches to his right hand and totally outclasses Inigo. So, instead of killing him, he just knocks him out. And then he goes after them. Vizzini sees him coming, tells Fezzik to crush his head with a rock. Man in Black comes through. Fezzik throws the rock at a boulder, crushes it, and they have a conversation and they start to fight. And obviously, somebody the size of Cary Elwes looks like a child next to Andre the Giant, as most people did, right? But they obviously, and very smartly, do the best thing, the only possible way he could ever beat him, which is hopping on his back and, squeezing his neck in essentially a sleeper hold. It's the only way possible that he ever could beat him. So, but it's also a fantasy movie. So, at least they go with that. And he knocks him up. Then, he catches up with Vizzini. Vizzini? Am I saying it right? I hope I'm saying it right. It'd be terrible if I wasn't. And Buttercup. And they have a battle of wits. To where the Man in Black pours iocane powder into a drink, and he doesn't know which drink, and he has to choose which one he's going to drink. Problem is, he actually spiked both drinks. He's immune to iocane. Doesn't matter which one Vizzini drinks. It's over for him. He's laughing a fantastic laugh and pauses and dies. With Buttercup saved, you think he would immediately say who he is, that he's there, he rescued her, it's Wesley. But no, instead, he almost interrogates her in the conversations that they have, finding out that in fact she doesn't have any feelings for him. She's had no feelings for anyone or anything since she found out that Wesley died. And when she pushes Wesley, or pushes the Man in Black down the hill, once they see Humperdinck and all his men coming, and he says, "As you wish," she realizes that that is in fact the love of her life, Wesley. So she throws herself down the hill. Great scene. I'm just rolling. First off, every scene so far that we've even been talking about, it's all great, because from front to back, this movie is fantastic. So they try to get away. They go into the fire swamp. They see the ROUSs. They land into the lightning stand. They're dodging the fires. He gets into the fight with the ROUS. They come out, and yet they still get captured. Buttercup offers up herself to save Wesley. Of course, we know Humperdinck is not a man of his word, because you find out that that crew was hired by him in order to start a war with another country. So once Inigo is seen again, he's drunk, he's angry, and Fezzik comes to his aid, and they need to find the Man in Black, because the Man in Black can help them. The Man in Black can do anything. If he could beat Inigo, if he could best Fezzik, and he could outsmart Vizzini, he can do anything. So I have to find him. But unfortunately, he's being tortured by the six-fingered man, the same man that killed Inigo's father. So when Humperdinck has had just enough, he heads down, he cranks up the torture machine, and he kills Wesley. Now, even in that moment, I thought it was weird that the six-fingered man didn't want him to hit it all the way up to its highest, because of how bad it was going to be. And it's so bad, the scream that Wesley lets out, everyone can hear it, and Inigo knows that it's him. So they go, they find him, they realize he's dead. They take him to Miracle Max, who is played by Billy Crystal, and it's so good. And the wife, played by Carol Kane. It's these two in that scene. It's perfect. And then, of course, you get another super amazing quote. I hear it all the time. I even hear my father-in-law say it all the time as they're leaving. Have fun storming the castle. It's great. They're just so good. They get to the castle. Wesley starts to wake up, but his body's coming back little bit by little. They manage to fight their way into the castle. They scare most of the people off because, Fezzik is wearing a Holocaust cloak that they light on fire. Everyone runs. Most people run. They get in there. They're fighting off people, and it goes, sword slashing people. It's awesome. They see the six-fingered man. He knows that it's him. He goes to chase him. Fezzik has to go and help him because he's behind a locked door. So he leaves Wesley. He goes, he opens up the door. Inigo goes and follows him, but catches a knife in the stomach. But his need for revenge overpowers it. And he manages to best the six-fingered man and finally gets his revenge for his father. It's so good. Fezzik goes back, and Wesley's gone. And where's Wesley? He's in Buttercup's room, as she's preparing to commit suicide because she would just rather kill herself than marry Humperdinck, and knowing that Wesley's dead. Actually dead this time. So, with Humperdinck there, he calls a bluff, gets out of the bed. He knows he shouldn't have any strength, yet he stands up out of the bed and he just punks him, essentially, right? Lifts his sword, stands up straight, lifts his sword. He knows he's not going to beat him, so he gives up, gets tied to the chair, and Inigo and Fezzik show up. They leave him to his own devices. Who cares, right? Let him be who he is. They all escape. They all ride off, and and then it goes back to the grandfather and the grandson. They go to, he says, oh, that's it, and then he actually tells him, they end how it ends with like the very passionate kiss. So there are so many things about this movie that are just perfect. And if you watch one of the special features, especially on this anniversary edition right here, if you don't have this on DVD, you need to pick it up, because it's 20th anniversary edition. Comes with a bunch of special features, right? And in one of them is Mandy Patinkin talking about the movie when they went to the screening of it. And he's sitting there with his wife, and they're watching the movie. And I don't know if I cannot remember if he specifies exactly how far through they were, but he began to cry. And his wife leaned to him and said, "What's the matter?" And he said, "I thought we were just making a good movie. I didn't know we were making this. It's because it's a masterpiece. It is front to back a perfect movie. There's literally nothing wrong with it. There's just maybe one thing, which is a line of dialogue, and in something that Inigo says to Fezzik when he's like, "You did something right," and it's like, you actually did a lot of things right in that movie. So, but other than that, movies, it's perfect. It's the sets on it are perfect, because you're watching a movie from '87 and you know that everything that they're on is a set. It looks like the fake set background, but it doesn't matter, because it's a story being told, and it doesn't need to look like some multi-million-dollar set. It's perfect as is. Again, released in '87 and shot the way it's shot and told the way it's told. It's perfectly acted, it's perfectly written, it's perfectly directed. And all things just converged to make this one just utterly fantastic. Apologize for the lengthier episode, but it's The Princess Bride, right? We needed to really go through everything that happens and yet appreciate everything that this movie is. So, watch everything that is on Triple N. Subscribe if you aren't subscribed already, because you should be. Join us next week, where we're going to stay in 80s fantasy land. Our next film is going to be The Never-Ending Story. Have fun storming the castle.